you guys have battled all season long, come up short in some games, and today you handled this to shut them down from 3 point range.
Yeah, it feels really good. And, all candor, it's a step forward for, these guys in terms of, had a bye, which turned into kind of not as traditional as we would have handled it because we had some illness run through our team a little bit. But yeah, the way they competed for the entire game was something that every coach kind of hopes you see every game. Doesn't happen every game, but just the connectivity, literally from beginning, first possession of the game to the last possession. I mean, I thought they flew around, they tried to challenge as much as possible, they rebounded well, we didn't rebound great, but well enough. And things always look better when the ball goes in. We shot the ball well today as well. So happy for these kids, proud of them, thankful for them, and for our fans. I mean, I thought our crowd was sensational. There was a lot of good energy in the building. We had alumni weekend, and so a lot of former players and their families were here. Honored the 2004 Final Four team, which I think that was the last team that Oklahoma State had that played against BYU. So kind of a little irony in that regard, but definitely a proud and gratifying feeling to see those guys go out there and play the level they did and look like enjoying themselves.
You talked about the ball going in the basket, which always makes you, like you said, look good. I heard your pregame with John, and you really put an exclamation point on defending the 3-point line. It's obvious they heard and executed that pretty damn well.
Yeah, I mean, again, these guys, have continued to try their best to do what we've asked, and today was no different. They averaged 35 attempts a game. We told them that over and over again. Guarding them in transition is a little different. They don't usually have a guy run to the rim or park down there, so you got to really start working your way out earlier. But contesting as many of them as possible was the key, right? We can't stop them from shooting them, but you got to make sure that they don't shoot them without anybody defending them. And I thought for the most part they did that at a really high level.
And in conjunction, not putting them on the free throw line, because the last thing you want to do is foul 3-point shooters. They were very disciplined.
Yeah, we got one there the first half, which I thought, I'll go back and look. I always say officials work really hard to do the best they can. They don't get them all right though, but we did for the most part get there and get a high hand up and disrupt their rhythm. But they got a good team. They're a really good team. Coach Post done a great job. Obviously, their ranking is legitimate. They got size, they have skill, they have depth, they're physical, and so our guys should be proud that they beat a really good team today.
What went into the decision to start Jamarin?
We didn't really know, even as late as Thursday, who we were going to have. He was just one of the guys who got back to practice a little earlier, and so he had more time to get the preparation reps. And I thought he was really good in preparation. A couple of the other guys were still kind of lingering today. I mean, even a couple guys that got in, they just, that's what makes you feel, thankful, because they played their guts out. They laid it on the line. John Michael didn't practice this week at all. Literally did not practice. And so for him to go out and do what he did with the energy, we tried to hydrate him as much as possible. And so thankful to our trainer Kevin and our doctors that giving them the right advice, and then the kids following it so that they can go out there and represent the school the way they did today.
Coach, last weekend you trailed behind OU a little bit, and obviously today you stayed on top of BYU. What's something that you maybe consistently worked on this week, or was it just a different level of competition?
Another Big 12 game. I mean, and we still had a drought. I think it's just part of basketball. I think people kind of make the deal like it doesn't happen in every game. We got to not have them in critical times, and then you got to make sure that when you do have opportunities to make layups, like it happened in the first half, we're going on a drought. But we got 2 wide open layups. Every day that gets a lob that he just kind of mishandles in the air. And there was the other one I can't remember, but that becomes a part of, man, they're not scoring. Well, you really got to focus on the process of, are you getting good shots? We didn't turn it over a lot, and I think that was a big key. We also got ourselves to the free throw line at a pretty high rate, which helps when you're not making shots today. We made shots and got to the free throw line, which helps.
I asked Jim Myron about his toughness, and he gave credit to being from a single family or single mom relationship, and says he gets a lot of that from her. I wanted to ask you about his toughness.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's evident that that's something he wears with a badge of honor. That I think he goes out there and plays to help make his mom proud of the child she raised. And you're not going to always be 8 for 8 and 4 for 4 and not miss a shot, but you can always put that effort and that kind of intentional focus on helping your team however you can. And he's done that always. Again, he's 19 years old. He's still learning. Still got a long way to go. But I think you can see signs that these guys have a lot of ability. They just got to figure out how to do it on a consistent level. But there's no question when you talk about his mom raised him to be competitive and to have pride and wanting to be about winning. And I think that was on full display today.
They were stringing together a run towards the end of the second half, but then you guys answer go into the half with an 8-0 run. Just how big was that last minute?
That was huge. Keller's energy kind of was the tone setter for us today. Sometimes it's been Q, and Q was great. His last play, because they got to stop to get us the double-digit lead. And really, it's kind of a deflating play for the other team. Psychologically works against you. But what you got to do is the way you start the second half is equally important. And when we started the second half, I think we got 3 straight stops, and that was, I think, send a message to the other team like, hey, we're not about to relax. We don't know if they're going to start making a bunch of threes. We're going to be on edge, and we play with that throughout.
3 straight home wins in the Big 12. How do you transfer that into road wins?
You don't transfer anything from any game to any game. I mean, what you recognize is you got to be really prepared for what the other team does well. Last week, I thought we took a step forward in terms of the way we've played on the road. We were really competitive. We hadn't been as competitive on the road until our last game. So hopefully it's an opportunity to build on that. We'll start to get ready for Cincinnati as soon as we get back together and try to put a game plan together that we think can be effective. But you can't try to carry momentum from one game to the other because all the teams are so uniquely different from each other that you can't win Wednesday's game necessarily the same way you won today. And you can't assume you're going to make 50% of your threes and you want to get good shots. How do you get good shots against Cincinnati? It's going to be probably a little bit different than how you get good shots against BYU. Same thing, different from how we did it against OU. And so just got to be really, really focused on the task at hand.
You made a comment a couple of weeks ago saying that by the time he's done, Brandon Garrison probably could be a 3-point threat for you guys. I know he didn't get out that far today, but he showed some range. Is that something that's really developing in your team?
Yeah, I mean, he makes threes in practice. I think he's a little reluctant still to take on the game, and I haven't given him confidence to shoot it in the game. He hasn't made enough of them. I mean, he's made a couple, but he's got a pretty good touch. I mean, you watch a guy shoot, he's got soft hands, his ball comes off his hands well. I mean, his free throws, even when they miss, they're never like darts. They got a nice arc on it. So, yeah, there's a lot. I've been around basketball a long time, that you can see there's some things that you can extend his range just with some reps and confidence in his ability to know where he's getting them from and where he should be looking to be more aggressive to take one.
Big 12's not playing the fastest of any league, but BYU plays pretty quickly. It seemed like you guys were matching them in that aspect. Were you comfortable with the tempo of today's game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of always been sort of an emphasis. We've actually usually been one of the faster playing teams in the league, but it's become such a grinding, physical, defensive league. It's harder to play fast. It's easier to slow game down than it is to speed one up. I don't know if you heard that before, but that's a real thing because teams can either, just by way of sheer physicalness defensively, can make it hard to have the game play fast, and obviously they can take the air out of the ball on offense. And if you're trying to run and teams will get back, you don't want to take bad shots in transition. But I thought today we really took advantage of our athleticism and got out and attacked downhill by getting some pitch aheads. And again, Jamire Keller set the tone in that regard for us.
For the flu that happened and the NIL stuff that got kicked up this week, just what does it say about your group that they're able to come together and go out and beat the 9-ranked team in the net?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the flu was something I'm gonna say they don't pay attention to. That it was them, like they had the flu. So, but I think the other stuff, I don't know how much they pay attention to. In all honesty, and so I'm just really proud that they were able to focus when they got back. The guys that came back Wednesday or Thursday, or the ones who weren't even back until today, I think they just laid it on the line for each other in a way that, I want to mention. We had alumni weekend here this weekend, and over 100 former players and family members showed up again. Obviously, especially highlighted the 04 team. I think those guys left here feeling like the kids here appreciate what they did to give them, the kids here, now the opportunity to play at this school with a nice locker room and great uniforms. I thought our crowd was phenomenal. And so I think if I'm a former player here, I feel really good that kids still respect that they get to put this jersey on by the way they played today.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, one other thing, and I don't necessarily want to revisit what Marshall mentioned the past week, but you had two freshmen in here that we talked to earlier, and they did pretty willingly come out and talk about the future and being together and what seeds can be sown here. I'm not ignorant. I know these kids are gonna be, I know what goes on out there. People tamper, okay? No one wants to talk about it, they do. That has to make you feel good. You got two centerpieces there that they think about the future and being together and what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, these kids are here because they love it here. I mean, they all had options. I think they all want to be here. I think most of the guys we've recruited in my time here have wanted to be here because they all have had great options other places. So I think it says something about them being willing to say that, which is refreshing, probably a little inspiring. But my job is to just focus on trying to help them get better for the next 5 weeks and see what happens once we get the conference tournament. We have a chance to continue to maybe make some steps up into the league. I'm not naive. I know we can't win the league, but where can we go? Where can we get to in terms of seeding for the conference tournament? And so that's what I focus on. That's what I focus on as I watch this film, how to get better. We play these guys again at their place in a couple of weeks. And so that's where my focus will stay as we move forward.
Where do you, if I could ask one more, where do you see this development this season going for Jamire? He missed a little bit of time early and came back. Did the Bryce injury kind of accelerate maybe some of his development?
I mean, again, I think we talked about it when Bryce initially got hurt. Talked about what do you do? I mean, he's one of the guys that's probably going to get more opportunity. He was a guy early in conference play that wasn't really playing that much. He wasn't ready to do it, but it shows you that he's been committed. Staff's worked with him. He's not pouted. He's handled not playing the right way, because one of the worst things that a young guy can do is start to feel sorry for themselves and start to think that they're getting screwed over instead of just continue to work. And when your numbers call, be ready. And his number's been called, and today obviously was an extreme example of being ready and producing. But I think all those guys in time will be ready to be effective players on a consistent basis.
Do you think he proved anything to himself or to you or to fans or to other opponents today, Keller?
I don't know. I don't like to speak for what they think, how they feel. I think what he showed is that he's somebody that we can expect and count on to lay it on the line and compete as hard as he can. And that's what you do when you put on this uniform. It's an expectation. They're going to play well. He may go 0 for 8 on Wednesday. And what I want him to do is not focus on the 0 for 8. I want him to focus on, am I helping my teammates defensively? Am I bringing positive energy? Am I being aggressive still? And that'll be the things that we talk about in the next few days as we head into the next prep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.